Episode 8, When We Are in Need. Okay, gamers, this has been quite the season. And I know this isn't the finale yet. However, this, in a typical setting, this is definitely where the story would end, right? At least the main part of the story. This feels like the final stretch. This feels like the final part. And the true finale almost feels like an epilogue. I always see this part of the story as the big final stretch where the final section of the game is like an epilogue for me. I think it's mostly how they do seasons in stories, you know? This episode's set in winter, and the next episode is that following like spring. So it just feels like the end. Anyways, this episode is insane. This part of the game we play as Ellie. She's trying to hunt for food for our homeboy while he heals up. This time, however, we start with characters we haven't seen before. A town, as it looks. This town seems to be centered around a religious figure. A somber tone is set within this group, while their leader recites the Bible. A girl cries, while others look dreary. The girl lost her father. We have another cameo. A man who plays Joel in the video game is here as a high-ranking member in this town. Him and the leader, David, as they call him, talk about food. Ellie checks Joel's wounds. She's still taking care of him while he heals, though there isn't any medicine and they're running low on food. She goes hunting and actually does end up getting a deer.
Nice.
Good thing Joel trusted her enough to teach her how to hunt, how to shoot a gun. But she encounters video game Joel over here and David. They talk. Ellie tries to sound tough, but her desperation shines through when she asks for medicine. As video game Joel goes to grab that medicine, David stays with Ellie. They talk over a fire. David is some kind of preacher, though he found God after the apocalypse. He invites Ellie to join their group. Before the world ended, David was a teacher. He says everything that happens for a reason. He talks about sending a group out, but only a few came back. The one who died was a father. He even had a daughter. And he was murdered by a crazy man who was traveling with a little girl.
Fuck.
James came back, and he had a gun on Ellie, but David tells him to lower it and to give her the medicine. At the beginning of this episode, it was a funeral that they were having, and that little girl that was crying over her father was the man that Joel killed in episode 6. So already we can get a little sense that what kind of group this is, right? Sure, that little girl was crying back at the town, but it was the bandits. They were essentially bandits that attacked Joel in episode 6. So already, our ears can be perked up for this town, where we shouldn't trust these guys. Later at the town, food is running low. There's only a few cans of tomatoes left. A man comes in with a batch of cut up meat, and the lady making the food seems a little surprised. She asks, "What is it?" And the man replies, "Venison." Which, you know, makes sense. Ellie gave David that deer earlier. So we can think like, yeah, that makes sense. It's a very sneaky way to edit this. It very well could be that deer that Ellie let David take. However, right after this, we see David come in with that very said deer. What was that freshly cut up meat? Who knows? David talks about tracking Ellie and finding Joel to bring him to justice. That very same girl of that dead father says that they should kill them both. And David walks over to her and smacks the shit out of her. He reaches out his hand and picks her up. What a slimy little move there, huh? Classic narcissism here, alright? It's a very tricky way to control somebody. It's hot and cold kind of technique here. He tells her that she will always have a father, and she should respect him while he is speaking. This guy is all sorts of messed up. They then pray, and he obviously gets to have the biggest portion of food. Everyone, you can see, like, there's not a whole lot of sounds in this scene besides the scraping of spoons and forks to the bowls. This town is obviously on the verge of starving. They're very desperate for food. David goes out looking for Joel and Ellie. David plans on taking Ellie back to the town. Ellie sees them getting close to where they were hiding, but Joel is sadly still out of commission. Ellie tries to make a break for it in a way to get them away from the hideout. She does end up getting caught, though. These people almost killed her because they don't want another mouth to feed, but David stops them. He's losing control of this group. While the rest of the group stays to find Joel, David takes Ellie back to the town. But Joel does actually end up waking up in time to get a jump on a couple of these dudes. Even severely injured, Joel does not mess around. Ellie wakes up behind bars. David tries to manipulate her, but she doesn't budge. She's a tough gal. The scene cuts back to Joel. He captured a couple town members. He tortures them for information. Successfully, and we see a glimpse of just how ruthless Joel truly can be. Ellie, still in the cage. She tries to find a way to escape with no luck, though she does see something. An ear. David notices her shock, promises the food he's offering Ellie is just deer meat. Yes, this town does eat people. There are several weird clues throughout this episode of that fact, like the random batch of meat in the previous scene. He tries to win Ellie over. He tells her that she reminds him of himself. He tells her that he could convince the others to let Joel go. He reaches out and they grab each other's hands. He flirts with Ellie. FBI, open up! And she breaks his fucking finger. Not only is this guy a cannibal, he's also into children.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
A true goddamn monster. While Joel desperately tries to find Ellie, David and video game Joel decide to chop Ellie up in tiny little pieces. That crafty little shit, though, tells him that she's infected. Reminds me of Bob from Walking Dead, you know. Rest in peace, King. That show went to shit after his death, and I'll die on that hill. While they are jolted by this revelation, Ellie takes the chance to drive that cleaver into video game Joel and runs into the lobby of the restaurant. Now, in the video game, there's a lot of tension here. The tension is insane as you play as Ellie. You feel so small and have to sneak up on David, while if you were playing as Joel, David would be light work. But here as Ellie, as a child, you really feel that as you have to sneak up on David, slowly weakening him to the point of the final encounter. It does play almost as like a final boss to the game. While Joel is still on the hunt, David taunts Ellie, calls out to her. He yells out,
You don't know how good I am!
She does end up getting the upper hand on the bastard though, and drives that same cleaver into his neck, and she continues to let out her rage onto his skull. Bella's not a good actor. Fuck you, alright? Fuck you. All my Bella haters out there, fuck off. She comes out as Joel arrives. He comforts her. He calls her...
It's okay, baby girl.
They walk off as the episode ends. Oh my god. Ellie wasn't saved by Joel, as viewers and gamers expected. She had to save herself. This episode is definitely the darkest in the season. We see just how warped people can get. Nah, that's not it. That's not it. It's more like we see the kinds of people that filter up in times of need. Sometimes true leaders fill that role, and sometimes it's the predators that seek out the opportunities. When no other leaders can fill that role, people like David rise up. And David. Oh, David. David is definitely the most villainous figure we see in The Last of Us, a man who preys on others and uses the Bible as a weapon to manipulate his flock. In the game, this was the first time the developers give us a chance to put a face on all of the human NPCs Joel has killed so far. Up until that point, in the video game, we don't get to see, like, Kansas City. In Kansas City, all those people were just NPCs. We don't get to see the context as we did in the TV show. This is the first time we actually get, like, a named NPC and have a whole story wrapped around him as a bandit. And it's Ellie and David for a reason. Joel isn't present for a reason. Ellie does have a dark side to her. She's fascinated with death and guns and the infected, and she has a inner rage to her. David reflects her. David is the horror, an example of type of the people that could flourish in this type of environment of the post-apocalypse. And TV show David is arguably even more evil. He was a teacher, which I don't think is in the video game. He was a teacher in the TV show before all this, and I don't think about that for too long. Dear God. He uses charisma to control this town. He keeps little pets. I think one of the characters mentions that Ellie is his newest pet, so it's implied that he has people like Ellie before Ellie, and I don't even want to think about like what happened to those little pets. Jesus Christ. It's almost impulsive for him. Sure, he uses excuses that he eats people for the betterment of his group, but it's about control for him. He uses that as an excuse to indulge in his temptations. In other words, he is pure evil. And in most cases, he would be the final boss. This would be the final chapter. The big bad is defeated. But this story has one more chapter in it. An epilogue, in a way. This episode slaps. It's up there for me. It's one of my favorites just because we kind of needed somebody like David. You know, we needed some form. Sure, we have the bandits in Kansas City, but like, they're not pure evil. Not in the same way as David is. I think we needed somebody to represent what the type of people that Joel and Ellie could encounter in this world. We needed that example. Anyways, we have one more episode left, gamers, and then we'll smoothly get into season 2. This has been quite the ride. I've loved going through these more analysis type of videos. I love it. I love doing this kind of stuff. I like writing these scripts have been a great way to practice writing. It's a good writing exercise for me. And it's been fun. It's been fun making these videos. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed these videos. We have one more left, and then we'll do season 2. And then I'm not sure what else. I've heard that A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the new spin-off series for Game of Thrones, has been delayed for next year. So I'm not sure what to do. Screw it. I might do Game of Thrones.
The things I do for love.
Or Shogun. Shogun, it would be an easy one. It's only one season so far. I don't know. Let me know what you guys would like to see after season 2 of The Last of Us anyways. Anyways, I'll see you all later. Goodbye.